Hi everyone. Today I want to talk to you about Chrome packaged apps. I think that the packaged is in brackets because I guess it's going to be lost eventually. It's just a matter of describing what packaged apps are. Like the difference from something else that you can do in Chrome, but I guess in a few weeks, months, whatever, they just call it apps. So that's why I already put it in the brackets to anticipate that. Who am I? I'm Stefan. I live in Berlin. I work as a freelancer for a lot of different technologies. Recently I did a lot of Android. Before that I did Java backend, PHP backend, front-end stuff, and I also did a Chrome extension for a client, and it's still in the Chrome web store. I can show it to you. It's not really recent because it's about the Euro 2012, but yeah, it's still there and has 16,000 installs. So a few people cling to it still. What else do I do? I'm crushing the monument of Berlin. I do a lot of community work. For example, I'm co-organizer of the GDG in Berlin and do a lot of hacker events there. That's why you often see me with a microphone. Today I didn't get a microphone, which is a shame, but I stayed here, and this you can't really see much on this photo. Has been taken on in the Seabase, the hackerspace in Berlin, the oldest hackerspace in the world, and I'm a member of that. And if you ever come to Berlin, come to Seabase. It's definitely worth visiting. So let's start. Chrome packaged apps. So what we do, we take stuff and package it and put it into Chrome. The idea is to have a client that basically works without an internet connection. So we already have the web, so why should we do something else than just put up a website and let people visit it? So offline by default is a new paradigm that you follow or should follow when you build a Chrome app. Because starting up a website and downloading all the stuff takes time, and also people are using more and more mobile connections, and the connections are flaky. So build your app that way that you don't have to rely on a constant internet connection, but deliver the best experience in an offline mode and only use the internet connection when it's available and it's needed for updates or whatever. I know not every use case allows this. If you make like a stock trading app or something, it may be useful to have a constant internet connection. But if you do something with pictures or so, you can do it offline most of the time, and just for sharing or updating or saving, you need something like that. Also, with Chrome apps, you get a different look and feel than just a browser tab. You can have a nice little logo. You can have a separate window that looks like mostly like the underlying OS. You can place a shortcut on your desktop, and you just have a different user experience, and it's not that far away from a normal install program. But it works with Chrome in the background. I have some pictures here, but I show you some elements, some sample apps later. As you can see, this all works in it's not the like most beautiful apps, but you can see the pattern. It has no relation to a normal Chrome window. You see no tab, you see no address bar. You see that they have a custom icon in the bar, and for the user, I mean, as much as effort you want to put into, this is not the most effort I guess. But if you look at this, for example, the Glyphy app, this looks pretty awesome and not that far from any other locally installed app. But the really cool thing, so that's just icing on the cake, but the really cool things are the APIs you can use. You can finally use raw sockets, and with raw sockets, you're not limited anymore to HTTP, HTTPS, and WebSockets. You can use any kind of socket connection, and that's something I want to show you later with a drone and with something else. You can access any kind of peripherals, Bluetooth serial ports. You can use any kind of sensor data. So, for example, if you have an Arduino and connect it to your computer, you can read all the serial data directly and process it within Chrome, and you don't have to write any code that does this. You have more access to the file system as you would have from a normal browser standpoint, because as you might know that Chrome and every other browser does a sandbox mode, so you can't just access any file on the file system. That's good, but if you do an app that accesses the file system, you can request a permission. The user has to grant it once, I think, on install, and then you have access. Also, there's this thing called media access or media galleries, which is pretty handy if you want to access only all sound files on the computer, or all pictures or all videos, because most of the USs have these my pictures or my videos, and you can access them directly and don't have to go through the whole file structure and have people select these folders, because the OS already knows those things and you can request them. And the very best, internet support. We can go back to this later. I'll come back later to what you can't do with Chrome apps. There are some limitations due to the security constraints and others, usability things. And one of the things is you can't use iframes. And for avoiding this, but if you want to embed some live content from a third-party site, you should use the WebView tag. Now, one can argue, okay, they created a new tag, great, they butchered standards again. But as you might know, Chrome is on a very fast pace. They release a new version every 6 weeks. So sometimes they don't want or can't wait for any gremium like the Read3C to finish any discussions about new standards. So they just put it out and test it. If it works with their user base, they can tell if it's a useful thing or not, and then it can eventually become a standard. The idea is here that you have a sandbox within your sandbox. So an app runs in the sandbox anyway. I think that's okay. That's coming later. Okay, just let me. And this web view is separated from your rest of the app. That means even if the content in the web view is insecure, your data within your app is not a danger. At least they claim it's that way. So let's see. So then you have all the HTML5 standard things and a few things that Chrome offers by themselves. So app cache, notifications, storage API. I guess you all heard of them. One interesting thing for me, at least when you write an app, is the internationalization support. I18N that helps you, if you write from the beginning, to use dictionaries for strings that are user-facing. So you don't have to care about internationalization. You can just add new dictionaries for new languages you want to support, and that's done. And also alarms is a very handy thing that makes set timeout, this JavaScript thing where you, or a set interval, these callbacks for handling regular tasks or tasks that should happen in 10 minutes or something. Alarms is an API in Chrome that allows you to use the Chrome underlying system to time those tasks. So, security, I mentioned already. We have each app starts in an own process. So if you have your tab with your online banking there, no problem. Your app can't access this, and anything that happens in one tab doesn't affect your app. You should apply very strict CSPs, content security policies. That's in the manifest of an app as well as an extension. You can define what your app is allowed to do with content and third-party content and whatnot. I have a very nice experience there. So I had an app which showed a notification, and I wanted to display a little icon with this notification. And it always showed a broken image. And I didn't know why, so I went to a Google guy and asked what's wrong with it. And the thing is, the notification starts in a separate process. And by default, it can't access any content that's in a different process. So I had to whitelist this one image that I want to display in the notification to make it able to access the image file, and then it showed properly. So that's how it's restricted. The defaults are to handle security and data security. Yeah, the permission system, I talked about it with the file system access. That's what the user sees. You know this mostly from Android, I guess, but in Chrome, when you install an app on the web store, there's also a listing of permissions the app requests. I know nobody reads it, but the permission system is there. Yes. Another really useful thing is when you package the things you want to deliver to your user, you also have a distribution channel, and there's a new separate collection for your desktop, which is limited to all the apps we really run as a packaged app. There's also offline capable apps. Some of them can do both. It's mostly this flash arrow icon to show that these apps can work offline or mostly offline. I mean, if you have limited capabilities, then that's fine, but at least you should be able to show something to your user and explain why this feature doesn't work when they're offline, but at least do something. For example, if you install the offline app from Google Drive, then you have you can create new documents, you can edit your old ones, and it's all saved locally and synced with the server once you get online. And also, that's really new, I guess. I saw it not that long ago, that you can now finally sell your apps as well. It's still a bit tricky from the standpoint of piracy, because when you download this, all the code is pure JavaScript, and it's lying in your app folder. So I'm not sure really how useful it is to sell an app for €750 when one can buy it and just copy it. But for normal users, it's very easy now to get extra content or the pro version of your app with added functionality. This is, by the way, the price of some Gantt chart maker, Ganter or something. So for project planning. Then there's something that's still like a secret. At least I didn't read about it more. There was this one screenshot that showed the capabilities or the test of capabilities of implementing in-app payments for Chrome to allow upgrades. So you have the free app, people can install it, but for let's say, for example, for the Glyphy app, with the drawing tool, you can buy additional sets of icons, for example, or something that you can use. And yeah, this is a screenshot taken from some from the repository from Chromium, but I never read about it more. So that's the only pointer that there might be something coming, and I don't know why it's taking them so long. Probably because it's a bit of, yeah, it's tricky with pure JavaScript to make it secure. Then, like I said, a few things you can't do. Everything that hurts user experience. So no alerts, no pop-up with confirmed. You have to program this nicely with JavaScript if you really want to do it. But it's better to do it some kind of inline question. Iframes, security concern, form submissions make no sense because your target is your own browser. You don't have a server or backend. You can, of course, use the content of a form and send it via Ajax, but pure submit buttons won't work. Window history, window location, the same. You basically have a one-page JavaScript app. Window location with push state maybe would make sense, but you can't see the URL anyway, so you have to handle this differently. That's again UX thing. You don't want to have your app blocked, so everything that's contacting the server has to be asynchronous. Yeah, and Flash is forbidden too, for some reason, I don't know. And here's a list of more things linked, what you can't do, and the workarounds. And for Flash, the workaround is use HTML5. So, let's see some things. I prepared a small list of apps that showed the capabilities of the new things. So let's start with one app that is not fully an app because it still opens in a tab, but it allows us to use raw sockets for SSH in the browser, which is really, really handy. So here you can see somewhere, yeah, it uses NACL. Anyone knows what it is?
Sodium chloride.
Yeah, it's salt, yeah, that's true, but that's not meant here. Yes, native client. So what it's using an OpenSSH lib in native code and using the native client interface to use this within the JavaScript app. So all the hard crypto stuff is just done in a native library. And yeah, it allows us to be very flexible with our work because we can just, we don't have to install anything besides this Chrome app. And every app or every OS that has Chrome on it allows us to use SSH. And I'm not sure, I guess it's not synced, but if you use Chrome Sync for your data, for example for bookmarks and other stuff and history, it should be able at least to sync all your saved sessions, so once you start up and log into Chrome, you have all your settings there, and that's pretty handy. Now we come to a bit more fun part, still not a perfect app. I'm sorry for the feedback. So, oh, I have to. That's nicer. I can fake now that I can play. So much for that. Then I didn't install this because I didn't have a remote backend to connect to, but there's also a VNC version directly for Chrome. So if you want to use a remote desktop to start to control some PC or Mac or whatever, or a Linux machine in another room or in another country, you can use this Chrome extension as well. And now we come to some of the Chrome apps. You see here below, you have here in the bottom, they have their own logo. So this is AnyDo, a task planner. Then we have Google Keep. I have to close this to make it easier to understand what it is. So you see, normal window, nothing reminds really that this is just running Chrome. Of course, we have something like this too. I make this really difficult level now. And if you know this from, for example, from Android or so, it's not really that different anymore. It's really impressive. The same with this. Isn't it beautiful? Okay, so much for that. Then we have here a tour from Autodesk that are the creators of, what's their name?
AutoCAD.
Yeah, AutoCAD, right, thanks. Yeah, I knew it before, but now I didn't. And this is just a tool for doing a bit of easy things. Yeah, turn it green, that's very... to do a few things with the photos, and also allow you to open things from Google Drive. So I allowed it before to use Google Drive, and I can then select and directly load the content from Google Drive, edit it and save it back. So for this example, I wouldn't really need a hard disk to work on files. We come to this point in a few seconds why this is important. Here's again Gliffy, the app that allows you to do some diagrams and some UML shit. I never get the arrows in the right direction and so on, so I won't try. But you can do a lot of stuff here with Venn diagrams and so on, and it basically feels like a native app. You can use also the connection to Google Drive, which is kind of, you can, of course, you have sometimes Dropbox support or Box.net or some others, but since Chrome is from Google, it makes sense to have this connection, which is normally tied to the Google account, which is obviously the Drive account. And then we have this, going to Gamepad. So this is a normal Xbox 360. And I can just, I can use the normal gamepad to play a game with kind of 3D. I mean, it's still not the best 3D you ever saw, but it works perfectly in the browser. It was installed in a few seconds, and the user doesn't need to know anything about DirectX or something. It's all directly supported by Chrome, which is a really nice user experience, I would say. And now the last demoing a few interfaces at once. So I guess everyone knows AR drone. They have an API. So much I can say, but the API is very raw. So there's no HTTP server running, and you normally with the browser can't connect to it because it's a custom port. You don't get access to it. But oh, okay. Yes. Let's start again. So this worked, of course, before when you went in the room. So last try. I have a backup plan. I mean, it's a shame if I can't show it, but so the drone sets up their own Wi-Fi hotspot. With the laptop, I connect to it. Once it's up, yeah. Now I'm in the same Wi-Fi as the drone, and my app should normally be able to connect to it, and for some reason it's not.
You have to restart Chrome?
No, it should. No, it worked. Okay, for some reason. So I have a button for liftoff. I didn't say this, but the people in the front row are now at it. So much for the short presentation. So what happens here? As I said, we are now connected with the same Wi-Fi. So network connectivity is present, but without Chrome apps, without raw sockets, I can't connect to the ports the drone offers. Something with 6,000, and then it's also not a REST API. You can't just send lift off or something and it works. Instead, it has a modem-like protocol. So you send AT commands. And luckily, some guy at Google was bored and wrote an API for that. So now you can actually use something like drone API.liftoff and it takes off. There are some things still missing. I tried to make the video stream working, but they have also a custom stream. So I tried to decrypt it within Chrome, which is not that easy because you have to work with JavaScript buffers, so like byte arrays in JavaScript, which is not the things you normally do, at least I don't. And I have something that I think is a picture of the video, so they send pictures and then like it's an MPEG. I tried to decode it, but yeah, for now it didn't work. But the raw sockets helped us to communicate with the drone. The whole logic is in the Chrome app. And then we have the gamepad API that uses the commands. It's worth noting that the push of the button is not an event, but it's a pull API. So you constantly have to ask, hey, which buttons do you have pressed now, and now, and now, and now, and have to change the state of your app. It allows you to really fast use the user input, but you need to wrap your head around this, because normally you say, okay, button A is pressed, okay, do action B. But yeah, now you have to ask the gamepad every time. Yeah, so so much for the quick run into what's possible. Now I'm finishing my presentation and I make this off, so it doesn't come anymore. So, if you are still not convinced that you should build a Chrome app, which I can't imagine, of course, but if so, the second best argument, I'm lying here, the second best argument is that's the only way to run on Chromebook Pixel, really, to install software there. As you might know, this is Chrome OS, and Chrome OS doesn't allow you to install anything but Chrome apps. I mean, one thing, they have these fake apps like Gmail or so, where you just have a link to the website. So that doesn't work when you're offline, really. So yeah, Chrome apps for the win. Chrome apps for the win. But if you're still not convinced, it can make you a TV star. So I was at this maker fair thingy in Munich called Make Munich, and for some reason Spiegel TV was there, and they did a small piece, and I did this. Sorry for the German. So.
Auch Softwareentwickler gehören zum kreativen Kollektiv. Diese handelsübliche Drohne konnte bisher nur per Smartphone geflogen werden.
Ich versuche gerade die Drohne über ein Gamepad zu steuern. Dabei ist die Verbindung halt nicht über das Mobiltelefon, sondern hängt einfach in meinem Browser. Und bis jetzt ist das sozusagen der Prototyp, der jetzt gleich crashen wird. Genau. Ja, nur weil ich das programmieren kann, heißt das nicht, dass ich steuern kann. Ne?
Hauptsache.
So I really like the face of his face because he's seeing what the camera is not seeing. Yeah, so I crashed the drone live on TV, but well, yeah. So that's so much for the introduction into Chrome apps. Do you have questions? Oh, sorry, I explained it that well. No,
This Bluetooth thing, is this in beta or in Canary build available?
Yeah,
or it's already live?
I would say it's long enough
Really?
that it should be in. But I didn't do the Bluetooth stuff yet, so
okay, I missed something about Bluetooth. I heard about that they will use Bluetooth now, that you can communicate with Bluetooth devices.
yeah.
And
But it's announced as part of the whole Chrome apps thing, so I guess it's in. I didn't see much of this in the web store because it's mostly, I guess, some vendor-specific apps that they publish. But yeah,
Can you run Chrome apps on Android?
not yet.
Chrome.
The Chrome on the mobile Chrome, so to say, doesn't have Chrome extension support at all for now. I guess it's going there. I mean, they even have the same boss for a year now.
yes.
So
Sundar Pichai?
yeah, Sundar. So it's coming closer and closer together, I guess. So you can, and also maybe they even talk to the Firefox, to the Mozilla guys, because they also have a similar system for running on Firefox OS. It's all native HTML5. So I mean they rely heavily on this web stuff, and they both cook their own version. And it would be nice to have more of a interwork, because you don't want to have like two forks of your apps just because you want to be on both platforms. Yeah.
You said before that you can reuse your Google identity in your application. Like, how does that work? Is there a kind of identity sharing permission for your app?
So, there is some still experimental Chrome identity API, but I guess the easiest part is to do it the normal OAuth offline with Webflow. To use this with the, I guess the best would be also to do it with the G+ API. The normal Google authentication is more like discouraged nowadays because you have a picture and everything. The data is a bit richer on the G+ API.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned with this with the SSH client
Yes.
that it has there's a encryption, all the rest of it is actually native code. So how does that salt library or the NaCl library work? What can you?
Yeah, you just put the for the systems you want to support, put the native code in your package. The first one with the JavaScript and HTML5. You put the SO files, for example, or the what's it called? DLL for Windows.
Yeah.
Put this in, and native client, you decide which of these libraries you have to load. Yeah, and then you have an interface to actually use the C code there. Yeah, I tried it 3 times to wrap my head around it. It's just, I don't know. I am just too high level to really get into C stuff, and when I see this native client stuff, it's just not mine. I mean, I guess there are a lot of people to understand it enough. It's just, yeah, I hope never to do it. That's part of the reason why I didn't manage to get the video stream running, because there is an NaCl port for FFmpeg. So decoding a MPEG video stream would be fairly easy to do. I just didn't get the two together. It's just my problem. Yeah. Yeah, you missed the action already. So, then, thanks for listening. And yeah, if you have any more questions, I will publish the slides somewhere. Yeah, I hope you learned something.